Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is April 2nd, 2024, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, finally Bitcoin chooses the direction after it trades in a very tight range and it tanks. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So all day today, out of Germany, we have a preliminary CPI number coming out that should affect the euro. And looking later today at 5 p.m. South African time, out of the United States, we have a JOLTS Job Opening number coming out. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the US dollar continues to advance versus the major pairs. And as we look at the indices, the Dow Jones tanks while the NASDAQ just tapering lower. And looking at commodities, first, gold tapering off its highs, while oil continues to push higher to $84 a barrel. Now, looking at the stocks, they're all mixed. While Google pushing higher, bank stocks sell lower. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin tanks. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. First with the Euro USD, it's tanking. It's on its lows. 107.27 is where we're trading at right now as we're cornering in at that 107 level. Now, I said this over 50, 60, 70 pips ago where I said we would probably hit this lower support system. So just be aware of it. Now, it's not the only one that's hitting support. If we look at GBP USD, and we also mentioned this, it's the Japanese yen that led us lower, and that was the first one, okay? But let's work at, British pound on its lows. Now, it broke its 200-day moving average. It's done that before. It's kind of tested this 122-ish level before, so just keep in mind that it may bounce off of this level. Now, jumping into the Australian dollar, also on the bottom of its range. And as we look at the Japanese yen, does not make new lows versus the dollar. So I'm more inclined to think that we're going to bounce off of this and we're going to make a correction, but not yet. Okay, lots of things still coming in economic-wise, so things are still need to trickle in. Now, jumping into commodities, all right, looking at gold, it's on its highs, but just below its highs, okay? As we look at this yesterday, it's this morning just bouncing higher. I may still push above that resistance of 2264, and it may push even higher. So keep this in mind. If it does break out, then we'll see a breakout extremely on the upside. Now, looking at crude oil, $84.38 as we trade right now. Now, this broke through its resistance level of $82. The next real resistance is probably 85, 90-ish level, 85-ish level. So keep that in mind. If that clears, then we could surely go back to $90 a barrel as we're heading into the summer months and a uptick in everything, almost production and everything. So this may actually still rebound going into the end of the year. Now, looking at the U.S. markets, starting out with the Dow Jones. Dow Jones between regular hours of trading, it's retraced over 400 to 500 points. So this is a major retracement, and it looks like it's making a double top here, okay, because the stocks are not making new highs. However, I don't want to celebrate that because we are going into corporate earnings the next 2-3 weeks, which major corporations coming out with their earning reports, including the bank stocks. So keep this in mind. We're just tapering just below our highs. If we look at the NASDAQ, nothing, okay, didn't do much. And that's why there's a little bit of discrepancy between the two markets. Now, jumping into the individual stocks. So let's take a look at JP Morgan. That was the first one to dip below $200 a share, okay? That actually did dip. Not a big dip, not a big sell-off, but did dip, okay? At least people taking some money off the table. ALCOA continues to go higher, which is kind of interesting because this is an important stock as it's up in the food chain in terms of its production. However, looking now at the tech stocks, okay, Google pushing higher yesterday to 156, new highs for Google. As we look at that, if we could see that, there we go, that's a little bit clearer. A nice little pivot upwards. Now, looking at the rest of the stock, Facebook didn't do much. Microsoft still not doing much, just a little bit move on the upside, but not doing much. And Apple really weak as it's going through its antitrust issues with the central government. And so this is going to still all play out with itself as we're kind of like taking this all in. Lastly, looking at Bitcoin, we tanked, okay? The reason I say we tanked is relatively we tanked, okay? It's not a big tank, it's not 15,000 points, but it's a first time that we're breaking out of this very tight range between 70 and 68,000. We're trading at 66,000. So that's a decent 4,000 move. Okay, however, it's still choppy. It doesn't mean we're going back to 15,000. It just means that there's money to be taken off the table here. If we look at a daily chart, broke the 30-day moving average. That's significant. But you can see that we're still very much on our upper range, and there's still room for it to bounce, okay, believe it or not, as the markets are still consolidating. So keep that in mind as this continues to trade. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.